has been the bigger disappointment through their first 5 games as a Jag? Eric Armstead or Gabe Davis?
Well, I would say probably, I mean, if you're only picking those two, obviously Gabe, just because he had a full training camp, you know, and so you're kind of expecting him to kind of hit the ground a little bit better. But I still think that he's got an excellent skill set that's going to work for this football team. And for whatever reason, it hasn't worked yet, but I believe that it will, just because, I mean, he's got the work ethic and the personality that will work. You know what I mean? And Eric Armstead, I wish that they would play him more as a 3 technique, as a defensive tackle than an edge player, because, you know, the reality is this. When he's playing edge, he's an average edge player right now at best. When he's inside, and historically when he's been inside, he has been way above average. Not quite understanding of why he's playing more edge than he is more interior.
Yeah, I mean, the word is that he's said when he signed here he wanted to play edge, and I feel that this has just kind of come out as we've gotten closer to the season. We heard more and more, they want to use him at edge as well. But yeah, I'm like you, though, thinking, okay, he'll line up as a 3 technique, and then there'll be packages where he's outside. Maybe they flip him with Trayvon, depending on the matchups and things like that.
What does he unleash for the other 2 guys on the outside if he's playing at tackle? Right? Like, that was the idea when they signed him. I was like, this is fun. Right? They finally get a guy that plays above everybody at that position to help a couple guys that we just saw have the best years of their careers. What is that going to unlock for these guys going forward? And instead, a couple weeks before their season, they're talking about him like an edge. I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. And they're getting no impact from him while he's doing it right now.
The whole kind of premise of an edge is built up in the name itself, edge, right? I mean, you're attacking the edge, and you attack edge with speed to threaten the edge, and that's not really what Eric has. I mean, he's not a speed guy that can threaten the edge. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe it's going to work. You know, maybe he's going to get better. He's working his way back. But right now, I think he's playing a little bit out of position.
So among the defensive tackles, from what you see, who is playing well? And are they, somebody asked, same thing about Roy Robertson Harris. Are they lining him up on the edge?
They are.
Too much for your what do you make of it?
Well, they really – who else are going to line up for edge? I mean, Miles Cole is really the only other true edge player that I look at as far as body type and abilities that can play.
They play around with Yasir a little bit there, but not much.
Yeah, and he's kind of one of those hybrid. He's a linebacker / edge guy. But, I don't – the defensive tackles who are playing well, I mean, nobody.
Right. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, there's not one guy that's – so, for example – whether you put in there 52 or 90 or 99 or whoever, there's not really any change of performance. And that's kind of why you can see that they're constantly changing and mixing and matching guys that, of playing time. The one guy that we haven't seen yet that hasn't gotten really an opportunity has been Jordan Jefferson. I would like to see him active at some point to see what he can do, just because, I mean, everybody else just kind of been
Are you hearing anything about him? Like he's just, it's just like out of sight, out of mind.
I mean, he had the ankle in training camp, and that slowed him up a lot. But, I mean, he's the most powerful guy that they have inside. Is he still not a pro and figuring things out? I don't know the answer to that, but, I'd like to see him given an opportunity at some point, because right now the other guys right now there's really nobody standing out to where you say, okay, you know what, we're going to play him because he's playing well. I mean, they're playing okay, but look, you're not trying to get okay out of guys. I mean, if you consider Armstead a defensive tackle, you've kept 8 defensive tackles on your roster.
I've spent a lot of money on him.
If you are keeping 8 defensive tackles on your roster, that should be a position of strength, right? And right now, it's not.
It shouldn't be a position of weakness.
And I don't want to say it's a position of weakness, but it's a position that it's a position of weakness as far as pass rush. As far as run stopping ability, look, the numbers tell you they're doing a good job. And when you watch them, they're doing a good job.
Right.
But you got to find a way to get better pass rush on the inside, because, I mean, right now, you're not getting it.
How has Mason Smith reacted to week 2 not even being available in a team decision?
Oh, I mean, I think he's reacted fine, but I mean, the productivity is still not there yet for him. You know, he's a young player, and you knew that when you drafted him that he was going to be a bit of a project. You know, you watch his career at LSU and highly ranked coming out of high school, and then he was playing pretty well. Then he had the injury, and then his senior year was a year in which you could tell that he was recovering from an injury, and the productivity and the splash plays or the dynamite plays weren't there. So I think he was a guy that you were drafting with the hope that he would blossom eventually. And right now he's trying to figure things out. He's got an amazing set of tools because when he goes, you know, when you give him one purpose and in training camp, like what we saw in one-on-one pass rush, I mean, they couldn't block him. Well, in the games, it's a little different. You know, you got to react. You've got to, you know, think when you line up, and then you've got to react to the scheme. And then you say, okay, am I playing the run? Am I rushing the passer? Who's blocking me? You know, in a one-on-one pass rush drill, I mean, it's advantage defense all the way in practice because you know you're rushing that guy and you know it's a pass and you know nobody else is going to be pass blocking you in a game. There's a lot of other factors that are sitting there, you know, waiting to have to go through before you say, okay, now I got a pass rush.
Among defensive linemen, haven't really talked about Josh Hines-Allen. Continues to play well, though.
Yeah, played well. I mean, not quite the Josh this past game, but good. But good. I thought that, first of all, he has had a really good player on the other side of him. The offensive tackle for the Colts, Ryman, I think his name was. Yeah, Bernard Ryman. Good player. You know, so that was a tough matchup for him, you know, wearing the
Guardian cap.
Yeah. And so, you know, my first thought was, you know, good for him for putting on the Guardian cap a week after that he was evaluated for a concussion. But then my also thought process is that, okay, if the Guardian cap is on, is that thought process in his mind? You know what I mean? As far
I wonder if it is, like, when you get out there.
Loose, you know
like,
what I mean?
Is it heavy enough that you'd even notice it?
No, it's really light.
Right. So I
It's
wonder
really
if he's
light.
out there, if he even thinks about it, you know, because he doesn't see it on himself after he puts it on. So I thought about that watching the game this week.
Hey, Mia here, and thanks so much for watching 1010XL Jaguars. For even more coverage of the Big Cats, be sure to subscribe to 1010XL Jaguars.